Hello there, weary traveler, and welcome to this cozy corner of history. Before we begin our journey back to the brutal winters of medieval times, I wanted to extend a warm greeting to you, dear listener. Whether you're nestled under the covers, ready to drift off to sleep, or simply looking to unwind with some quiet historical storytelling, I'm so glad you've chosen to join me tonight. If you enjoyed this style of calm, immersive tales from the past, go ahead and click that subscribe button so you don't miss the next installment. But for now, let's allow the stresses of the modern world to melt away as we travel back to a time long ago, when winter's icy grip held far more peril than most of us could imagine. A time when the changing of the seasons brought not just inconvenience, but genuine fear for survival. The perils of the cold. Picture yourself in the countryside of medieval Europe. The last leaves have long since fallen from the trees, and the earth is iron hard beneath a blanket of frost. For the vast majority of the population, winter was a season of profound dread. Life slowed to a standstill as the land became unworkable and travel grew treacherous. Disease and scarcity. The cold and scarcity made vulnerable populations, the elderly, young children, and expectant mothers, especially susceptible. It's estimated that in some medieval societies, up to 20 to 30% of infants died within their first year of life, many during the harsh winter months. Poor diet and chilly living conditions exacerbated complications of pregnancy and childbirth, claiming the lives of countless mothers and babies. The horrors of this era were compounded by devastating pandemics like the Black Death, 1347 to 1351. A poignant tale from Pistoia, Italy, describes the devastation. "I am sick at heart and can barely bring myself to write, for things here go from bad to worse. Many are dead, and many more are dying. Shops are closed, taverns deserted. I fear our city may soon be empty of life entirely. The trauma of hasty mass burials in frigid ground and sick people expelled to die alone further illustrates the winter's cruelty." Unpredictable elements. Medieval winters were accompanied by raging snowstorms and devastating floods. In 1216, King John of England supposedly lost the crown jewels while crossing a marshy area in East Anglia called the Wash. His baggage train was swallowed up by a surging high tide, whipped up by fierce gales, illustrating how even royalty was at the mercy of the elements. Coastal communities were battered by massive waves and hurricane-force winds. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle records a terrible flood in 1099, and another North Sea flood in 1219 killed over 50,000 people in the low-lying Netherlands. Without modern warning systems or emergency shelters, the population had little defense. Fire and cold. Constant adversaries. Harsh winters also meant an increase in fires, as people did whatever they could to keep warm. With most buildings made of timber and tightly crammed together, medieval cities were tinderboxes. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle chillingly describes a deadly London blaze in 1132 that burned down a great part of the city, with most buildings made of timber and tightly crammed together. A stray spark or overturned candle could ignite an unstoppable inferno, leaving thousands homeless and destitute in the dead of winter. The greatest danger, however, was often the simple, inescapable, life-sucking cold. With only smoky fires and piles of furs to ward off the chill, the bone-chilling damp and constant dark sank deep into the bones of medieval people. Arthritis and rheumatism were common, and extremities slowly went numb with frostbite. Pneumonia and influenza ran rampant in close quarters. The 6th century British monk Gildas paints a grim picture. "The nights are long and dark. The days dreary and chill. The air bites with malice. All is blanketed in snow and frost. It is a time of great suffering for man and beast alike. The spark of resilience, enduring the winter. Despite the brutal conditions, the rampant disease, the gnawing hunger, and the life-stealing cold, the people of the Middle Ages endured. Year after year, winter after merciless winter, they shouldered on, armored only in their indomitable spirits. Feast and fellowship. The whole of medieval society, from the lowliest cotter to the loftiest lord, braced itself. Stores were checked and rechecked, and every scrap of wood was jealously hoarded. The only spark of levity and hope came with the Christmas festivities, particularly the Feast of St. Stephen on December 26th. This was a time for merrymaking, feasting, and the playful reversal of normal social roles. Central to the festivities was the custom of misrule, where a peasant or commoner would be appointed the lord of misrule for the day, briefly commanding their social superiors. This light-hearted upending of the status quo provided a much-needed release. Roasted meats, minced meat pies, and the flowing of the warm, spiced wassail bowl brought people together in a spirit of joy and camaraderie. For one brief shining day, the hardships of winter faded. The promise of spring. As the festive season concluded, the cold darkness descended once more. But even the cruelest winter cannot last forever. Watchful eyes eagerly scanned for the appearance of snowdrops, those valiant little flowers that poked their fresh green stalks through the melting slush, heralding the end of the long night. With a newfound spring in their steps, medieval peasants returned to the rhythms of the agricultural year. The first Monday after Epiphany was known as Plough Monday, marking the moment when the land could be worked again after the winter freeze. Ploughs were hauled out and blessed in joyful processions, an act of faith that spring would conquer winter in due time. The knowledge that they had friends and neighbors to rely on, and that they could find moments of laughter and levity even in the bleakest times, helped buoy their spirits. They held fast to hope, knowing in their bones that winter, no matter how brutal and unrelenting, was always a temporary state. The sun would return, the snows would melt, and the world would be reborn. The brutal winters of the medieval world may be long past, but their lessons echo through the ages, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. They refused to yield, and they emerged stronger, wiser, and with a bone-deep appreciation for the turning of the seasons. Would you like to hear more about the specific foods medieval people ate to survive the winter?